We appreciate that the coalition has left a real mess. We understand there's a lot to do. But in this term of Parliament, the only thing holding back serious environmental and social democratic change is the level of Labor's ambition. Which brings me to climate. The climate crisis is caused by the mining and burning of coal, oil and gas. You do not end the climate wars by opening more coal and gas mines. At some point in our history, we have to say it is time for no more coal and gas projects. The United Nations believes it's time now. The International Energy Agency believes it's time. The Pacific Island leaders believe it's time. Thousands of young climate strikers believe it's time. Even the Pope believes it's time. Labor seems to believe something different. Labor seems to believe that they can keep approving more coal and gas and that the market will make the call when it's time to stop. Labor wouldn't leave the minimum wage or aged care nurse ratios to the market to decide, so they shouldn't do it with the future of humanity either. It's government's job to keep people safe, not to defend the profits of Santos and Woodside. Worse, channeling Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister says that somehow our coal is better for the climate. It's not. The Environment Minister thinks that coal burnt elsewhere doesn't count. It does. You can't put the fire out while pouring more petrol on it. You can only end the climate wars by keeping coal and gas in the ground. Right now, there are 114 new coal and gas projects in the pipeline. If they go ahead, more homes and businesses will become uninsurable. If we hit 2 degrees of warming or more and fail to meet the Paris Agreement goals, which is where Labor's weak targets take us, the Great Barrier Reef will die, as will the 60,000 jobs that depend on it. More coal and gas mines will cause more floods, fires and droughts. They will increase the cost of living, destroy infrastructure, ecosystems will collapse and more species will become extinct and more of us will die. And that's why, as we've been discussing and then negotiating the government's climate change bill, we've put such emphasis not just on the government's weak target, but on the need for a moratorium on new coal and gas. We also said there needed to be compromise, but also real action, and that our preference was to improve and pass the bill. In this parliament, where less than a third of the country voted Labor, yes, Labor has some mandate and the Greens have some mandate. But more important is our mandate from the planet and the laws of physics. If Labor continues to open up new coal and gas, the planet will burn, and that is the mandate that we all need to listen to. That is why we are bitterly disappointed that Labor has made it so clear over the last few weeks that they want to continue to open new coal and gas projects. While the government has been unwilling to adopt science-based targets and place a moratorium on new coal and gas, we have been able to secure improvements to the bill, ensuring that the target can be ratcheted up over time and that it's now Dutton-proofed with a genuine floor, which means the target cannot go backwards. Changes have also been made to put in place greater transparency, accountability and strengthened requirements on the Climate Change Authority. And government agencies such as Export Finance Australia, that in the past have funded coal and gas projects, will for the first time be forced to take climate targets into account, which should see them curbed from supporting fossil fuels. They join a range of other agencies with new limits, including Infrastructure Australia and the Northern Australia Infrastructure Fund, and more, which I'll come to in a moment. And that's why I can tell you today that tomorrow I will be joined by our Greens MPs in the House of Representatives in voting for the climate change bill, and when the bill comes before the Senate, we will vote for it there as well. So to be crystal clear, the Greens have improved a weak climate bill But the fight to stop Labor opening new coal and gas mines continues. And in this parliament, the only obstacle to greater climate ambition is Labor. People need to be clear-eyed about the importance of this bill and that this government is bringing a bucket of water to a house fire. Worse, even this smallest of steps on the road to tackling the climate emergency could be wiped out by just one of the 114 new coal and gas projects in the government's investment pipeline. The fight begins now to get Labor to stop opening coal and gas mines.